Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Bob DeMaria. We are going to be having a tremendous time today with a No Meds video. I have so many items I want to talk to you about, and we're going to just get right to it. So many of you suffer with arthritis. Actually, 126 million people today, they woke up in pain. And a lot of that pain happens to be pain from arthritis or joint inflammation. And probably one of the most common questions I get every day are individuals ask me, what can they do for pain? So let's talk about arthritis a little bit, because during the month of May, arthritis is one of the many topics we're going to be talking about. This is an oil filter. And in the human body, the oil filter happens to be your liver. Now, in our practice, we use various forms, and one of them is called a health assessment questionnaire. And in the health assessment questionnaire, there's a portion of it that has to do with joints. So what I have learned from individuals, those of you who have chronic joint pain, it's usually because your liver tends to be compromised. So what causes the liver to be compromised? Well, dairy products, sugar, and very fascinating. I had a gentleman yesterday that spoke with me that he's having a fungus issue on his toes, and he wanted to know about medication. And there is a medication that will cause a fungus, relief of the fungus. And that fungus itself, that drug, causes liver disease. That's what the whole problem was. And he wanted to know, well, what can I do, Dr. Bob? So I made some suggestions to him. And one of the suggestions was we use a product called ADP. Now, this is not about taking ADP. This is about joint fungus arthritis. He was concerned that his liver was going to get compromised because of the medication. Well, fungus on the toes is usually a colon problem. Now, a couple other areas when it comes to arthritis. This is a yogurt. And I don't have anything against anybody eating yogurt, but if you're going to consume a yogurt, you want a yogurt that does not have sugar in it. I have noticed a lot of people have joint pain because of dairy products. So yogurt, ice cream, cottage cheese are all potential joint pain arthritis challenges. I want to take it up one more notch. Psoriasis. Psoriasis is a skin issue, but psoriasis really is a liver issue. And there's something called, and you're going to want to phonetically spell this, it's called psoriatic arthropathy. Psoriatic arthropathy is joint arthritis caused by psoriasis. So I'm not trying to scare any of you right now, but if you have a history of psoriasis and you don't work on functionally improving your liver, you could have some challenges down the road. So I want to switch gears because we have so many items that we want to talk about. Let's talk about allergies. Now, I want you to know, this is just kind of like one of the goofy type of things right here. Allergies are a chronic nose and sinus issue. So my goal for you is to be able to take those allergy symptoms away. What I have learned is that over time, especially during change of season, one of the leading causes of allergies is poor digestion. But what I've also learned, if you have subpar thyroid function or not enough iodine, when there are seasonal changes, you could have more health challenges. And iodine may be the answer for one of you watch me right now. I had someone that I spoke with yesterday in our practice that, this is just a side note, she was having chronic neck pain. And when we supported her thyroid gland and the iodine, her neck pain went away. And you might be thinking, Dr. Bob, come on. You know, I've been following you for years. How can iodine affect your neck? Well, there's a muscle called the teres major, T-E-R-E-S, teres major and minor. is located underneath your shoulder blade right here in this area. Well, I was sharing with her yesterday that taking the iodine helps support that muscle function, but I also know that when somebody has subpar thyroid function, when there are seasonal changes, fall, spring, and your thyroid is compromised, you don't have enough iodine, you could have allergy issues. Now, a couple other thoughts. What I have learned from my experience, one of the leading causes of chronic allergies is poor digestion. See, when you eat foods, especially protein type of foods like peanut butter and dairy products, those undigested proteins can go through your intestinal system and your body sees them as foreign invaders. And so it's going to attack them. So I have learned that individuals, because see, we do diet journals and diet histories on our practice members, that people who consume peanut butter and dairy tend to have more chronic allergy issues. I'm going to tell you a story. I had this gentleman came into my office and he literally started to have arm shaking and he was concerned. So we started chit-chatting a little bit and he did some research and he was taking a med called Zyrtec for his allergies. And we talked and I had him do a diet journal and I was asking him about gluten and wheat, which we'll talk about in a moment. And he said, you know, Dr. Bob, I really don't eat gluten. So as we went through his history and his diet journal, I noticed that he was having a chocolate chip cookie. Now listen to this, how he rationalized this. This was a recipe that his mom or grandmother had. So his wife makes these quote unquote healthy chocolate chip cookies that have wheat in them. Well, that wheat was causing an issue for him with his allergies, and I suggested he get off those chocolate chip cookies. Now, he thought I was a little bit out in, far left field, but he got off the cookies, and guess what happened to his allergy symptoms? They went away. He was able to get off the Zyrtec. Guess what happened to his handshakes? It went away. So let's do a recap. Allergies, chronic digestion. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. You may need to take a digestive enzyme. We do a blood test called a chem profile, and we look at your CO2 level, your carbon dioxide. If your carbon dioxide level is low, it may suggest to us that you have more of an acid pH inside of your body. Now, iodine or lack of could be an issue. Too much dairy, peanut butter. I would consider almond butter. I would also consider coconut milk, unsweetened coconut milk, which is we're going to transition now to gluten. Now, bread. I could throw out any kind of loaf of bread right now. Bread is gluten. What is gluten? Gluten is the protein that's in bread. Okay, now what does that really cause for people? Because right now so many of you confuse because you're eating gluten-free foods. I don't promote gluten-free foods. So gluten is a protein in bread. I believe that over time what's occurred is seeds have been hybridized. They've been changed. And there's a big debate about this, and there's a lot of wonderful books about what's going on. And from what I've read, even the grains in Bible times are different today because there's been cross-pollination, hybridizing, but not necessarily we talking about genetically engineered. We're just talking about altered grains. But the issue today is this, and there's just so much we could talk about with this gluten alone. I have learned from a friend of mine, his name is Dr. David Fram. He wrote many books on cancer, and he said that when people have a gluten issue, the real challenge so much isn't always that there is the gluten, but they might not have enough proper oil in their gut. Now this is significant, so really listen to this. Because they don't have enough oil in their gut, you could literally have inflammation in your gut. When you have inflammation or quote unquote a leaky gut, undigested protein particles can go through your intestine. Your body sees them as foreign invaders. So that takes us back to allergies. So you could have allergies from gluten. Gluten itself doesn't seem to be a problem for everybody. So I'll go back another step. If you don't have enough digestive enzymes and you're not digesting your proteins properly, it's very possible that peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a glass of milk could be like the kiss of death. So I don't want you to eat gluten-free, because what I've learned is we go back to this liver. Your liver is a really important organ. Well, if your liver's compromised for whatever reason, your liver can be impacted by nightshades, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, and green pepper. They're not bad foods, but they're nightshades. Nightshades have a toxin in them called solanine. Solanine itself is an alkaloid toxin that creates liver distress. So you may be eating gluten-free food, but if you look at the ingredients, it has potato starch in it. So you could have a mid-back pain because of gluten-free food, but it usually has MSG and maltodextrin and sucrose and sucralose and partially hydrogenated oils and texturized protein and soy. So I would rather have you eat rice pasta, it's rice, or consume a spaghetti squash, but focus mostly on vegetables. So gluten is the glue that literally glues together the little villi in your intestines, and it prevents absorption of nutrients. Now, I'm going to just say one more thing. I have seen individuals have anemia because of a gluten sensitivity, and it could be an issue. So we talked about arthritis, we talked about gluten and allergies. Now the next area for the month of May happens to be asthma. This is a typical sponge you use to wash your vehicle with. Now in the human body, the sponge is like your lungs. You basically have two lungs inside of your body. The #1 drug for kids under 21 years old in America happens to be asthma. 45 million prescriptions. That's a lot of prescriptions. Now, there's many reasons for asthma. There's a vertebra in your neck called C1 for cervical, which affects nerves that go down into your lung, into your abdomen. There's also a nerve in your neck called the phrenic nerve. So what we have found as chiropractors, if your spine is misaligned, it could affect the nerves that go to your lungs. As a natural doctor, I also know one of the leading causes for asthma is stress. Now, you're going to want to watch this again or write this down: adrenal fatigue. Your adrenal glands make natural cortisone. Cortisone takes away inflammation. So if you're under a lot of stress, you could have asthma-like challenges. Now, another area that I've learned over time is there's an oil called black currant seed oil. Kids that tend to have eczema usually need oil. We use black currant seed oil because kids who have eczema tend to get asthma. So we have the ability with science today, very innovative techniques, that we can literally check your oil in your body with what we call an essential fatty acid blood spot test, where we take a small sample of blood from your finger. We send it to a lab. The lab tells us the amount of oil. So what we have learned, if you have a diet that's heavy in trans fat or partially hydrogenated oils, that interferes with your body's ability to make good oil. So going back to what David was saying with the intestine and gluten, if you don't have enough of the right oils in your intestine, it's going to cause inflammation. Well, if you don't have enough of the right oil that impacts your lungs, you could have potential breathing problems. So I want you to start to see a pattern, because see, what I don't want you to be stuck on, or your kids, are on meds. Now, I don't have a license to take anybody off of meds, but I do know that if you make appropriate necessary lifestyle changes, you could help reduce your dependence on medication. That's the whole purpose of no meds. So if you have a child that has adrenal fatigue, bright light bothers their eyes, you're going to want to back off the sugar. Asthma is one of those conditions that is very easy to help as long as people are willing to make appropriate necessary lifestyle changes. Now we're going to transition, because this month of May was a really big month for lots of different challenges. We're going to talk a little bit about blood pressure. Now, blood pressure is a huge problem. And I am starting to see a huge amount of ladies come into my practice that are 50 years old or older. They're having heart palpitations, anxiety, constipation, and high blood pressure. Those are all body signals of a magnesium need. The best source of magnesium is anything green. Chlorophyll, kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, asparagus, romaine lettuce, spinach, arugula. And I have greens every day. I had broccoli last night. I am going to have a salad every day. I eat green food. So that's what we do on a regular basis. We have helped so many ladies and men too with magnesium. We use a liquid magnesium. We have a capsule. But if you are constipated, you really need to be in touch with us. This is very serious. And I don't want you to end up going to the ER because a heart helps and they want to put you on a drug. Now, this is serious stuff. That's one of the reasons also that we're very involved with fire. You see, fire is inflammation. You need to have the right oil for your heart also. Okay, so high blood pressure is quite common. I just have to throw a couple thoughts to you. Hydrochlorothiazide happens to be a diuretic, a water pill. So if you have told your family that you're on a water pill, this is not good. Water pills get rid of minerals in your body. And I've had people get contracture problems in their hand called Dupuytren's contracture because hydrochlorothiazide. There's also something called a beta blocker. A beta blocker stops the hormones that are being secreted from your adrenal glands, trying to tell your heart to get going because you're in a state of emergency. What's going on in our society today is that everybody's in a constant state of emergency. And so we have all these people that have high blood pressure. So you want to drink more water. Water is really important. You may consider vitamin D. Vitamin D helps absorb calcium. Calcium relaxes blood vessels and the body, which will help naturally lower your blood pressure. You want to exercise. We actually use a type of B vitamins, a V vitamin that has choline in it, and it helps enlarge and helps improve the ability of the blood vessels to be expanded. So we can see also having high blood pressure issues because you're overweight. See, for every pound that you're overweight, it adds 200 miles of extra blood vessels in your body. And let me tell you what, you don't want those extra blood vessels because your heart's going to have to be really hard to push all that blood through, and your pressure in your whole body is going to increase, and that's going to create distress. And you don't want that distress. You don't want your heart to wear out, okay? So I'm just trying to help you. Let's talk a little bit about another condition, and we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to do a little bit of a review for all of you. We have women that come into our office today that have a bone density test and an osteoporosis test. Now, they use as a gauge women that are 35 years old or older as their marker. Now, in our practice, what we have learned when it comes to X-ray, you need 40% change of bone to show up on an X-ray. There are patterns of people who have osteoporosis. It's called the pencil thin cortex. And you say, what does that mean? That means that the margin of the vertebra looks just like a pencil. It's pencil thin cortex. So when somebody comes into our office and we see this bone that looks blowed out, we have to address that. Now, there's a lot of controversy on osteoporosis because they sell a lot of drugs for osteoporosis. And what those drugs do, see, in your body you have bone cells that are called osteoclasts. And see, what osteoclasts do is they eat the unwanted, unfriendly, and old bones. Not unfriendly, just old bone. But what the Fosamax does, it literally handcuffs those bone cells from doing their job. So people get a false sense of security that they have strong bone, but in essence what they really have is weak, fragile bone that's still hanging out. That's why these people fall down and they fracture their hips so easy, because they're getting this false sense of security and it's not working, and they have old dead bone there. So if you want to prevent osteoporosis, let me throw a couple thoughts to you out. I'm going to give you some new information out. If you drink soda, soda itself has phosphorus in it. Phosphorus, when in excess, will help pull calcium out of the body. It's going to weaken bones. But at the same time, when somebody's underneath stress and their adrenal glands are very active and cortisol or cortisone's being released, it'll cannibalize bone also, and your body's going to lose calcium. For those of you that are watching me right now and you have stress, stress causes an acid systemic pH in your body. And say, whoa, what did you just say? An acid systemic pH means your whole body is quite low and it's going to be burning a lot of bone. So when I know people are stressed, you know how I know when people are stressed? When people come into our practice and we take x-rays of the side of their neck, which should be a C curve, and I see all this dental work with root canals and caps, I know that those individuals are having some major health challenges with calcium and phosphorus metabolism in their body. So I start out talking to them, and I'm going to tell you right now, I know that most of you right now love sugar. And see, sugar takes calcium out of your body. I know a lot of you are stressed for whatever reason. So if you're stressed and if you're eating sugar, you're losing calcium. Well, your body needs calcium for bone. So that's very significant. So if you're on a blood pressure medication like a beta blocker, I know that your body already is stressed because that beta blocker is trying to stop that cortisone from doing its job, speeding up your heart. I know many of you don't consume enough calcium or minerals, period. If you happen to have leg cramps at night are a body signal to me that your body needs calcium. If you're drinking soda, your body needs calcium. So what are excellent sources of calcium? Kale. Kale is the new beef. Anything green is a good source of calcium. Sesame seeds, almonds, excellent source of calcium. I can tell you that osteoporosis, if not addressed properly, can result in a compression fracture, ladies, in your mid-back, because I know a lot of people, they don't want to be hunched over like their moms or their grandmothers were. So I'm going to encourage all of you right now, wherever you're at, you need to start doing some active exercise. I need you to use weights. I need you to use bands. And I think machines are good, but exercise machines are a little bit different than free weights. I like you to even just stand in your house and just bounce up and down. It causes something which we name the piezo or piezoelectric effect, where there's electrical charges that go through your body, and those electrical charges stop at stress areas. So this is important to be constantly active, slowing and stopping the breakdown process in your body. Now I just have a couple minutes left. I want to recap some of this information just to tie it all together, because this month of May, No Meds, was really very important. This whole concept of fire is very significant for all of you right now. You may consider an essential fatty acid blood spot test. You want to have enough of the omega-3 fats. The omega-3 fats literally put the fire out in your body, which is going to minimize the challenges that you're going to get from arthritis. It's going to minimize the challenges that you're going to have from allergies and asthma. So now you can see that oil is very significant and very important. I have so many of our practice members today that just take a chance and consume a variety of poor quality oils, and they might be consuming too much omega-6 oils, which cause inflammation, or too much flax oil. Yeah, you can take too much flax oil. Too much flax oil can result in a vitamin B6 deficiency. Let's just briefly talk about this osteoporosis for a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're taking enough vitamin D. See, vitamin D helps the pulling of calcium from your intestine to the blood. Vitamin F or oil takes it from the blood to your skin. So for those of you who have high blood pressure issues, and those of you that have osteoporosis issues, you need to make sure that you have enough vitamin D, because vitamin D helps calcium absorption in your body. And this is quite significant. You want to make sure that you're having enough of those nutrients. So with all this, where do you start? Well, I don't want you to be doing a pasty for breakfast. You know, we talk about Dr. Bob's swap bag, which is start with the protein. You know, I eat a medium carrot every day. I have a stalk of celery every day. I have a half a red apple, 2 radishes, 5 or 6 small tomatoes, and I also have a wedge of red, yellow, orange bell pepper. Those items promote stable blood sugar. And I almost forgot to talk about the avocado. The avocado is really a great fruit. And that avocado is a great source of oil also. It's a real good health food. So do that. Mid-morning, have a hard-boiled egg. Lunchtime, always have a salad, a mixed green salad, not iceberg lettuce. And I know I have a lot of people that get a hard time with, I make my salads in advance. I don't use spring mixes. I use romaine lettuce, I use arugula, I use spinach. Those spring mixes have that blue, whatever that blue green is, but it's not green. I just don't use that because it breaks down too easy. So I'd encourage you to avoid that. At dinner time, I always have a protein and I always have a vegetable. So, you know, we have baked chicken, we have salmon on the grill, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, sauteed, lots of onions. I'm always having onions. I think onions are really important. And finally, I want to just briefly stop with this. It's the liver. The liver is the key. The liver is the key to all of this. It's going to help prevent osteoporosis. Your liver has to process fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Eat a half a red apple every day, a third cup of beet fiber, a medium carrot, 2 radishes. You got to do this because those type of foods are going to help you. If you had your gallbladder out because you've had 2 kids, which is really common, by the way, you might want to contact me. So you've been a wonderful audience. I really appreciate it. Pass this on. Go to our website. During the month of June, it's Men's Health. We love talking about men's health. I know we're going to have wonderful videos, a lot of great testimonies. We're just here to make a difference in your lives. My name is Dr. Bob DeMaria. I'm the drugless doctor, and thank you once again for watching me with the NOMED video. Bye, everybody.